Let me open the back and grab something, hon. I need an extra hand to get this door. You got it?
So every morning we get here, we flip the switch, get the ovens on,
and turn on the computer, get the cash register set up.
get ready to bake. Usually, you know, anywhere from 2 to 10,000 cookies a day. And then packaging.
Packaging.
Then we do the shipping. Then we make the dough for the next day. And then it starts all over again.
I'm Laura Stackler.
And I'm Susan Robbins. And we're making it in America.
It is important as to how SUSANSNAPS came to be.
It started a long time ago with a 14-year-old girl, Susan, one of my older sisters. She was diagnosed in 1963. She had Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a very serious cancer, and certainly was then. She was very advanced at 14 and was given 3 years to live, but she showed everybody. She was something else. She was fun, she was thoughtful, enthusiastic about life, and everything that came her way she took on with gusto. But there was always that little extra trip to the doctor every 3 weeks, so it almost makes it a little more touching to see these pictures of her, knowing that that weight was on her young heart. And shortly after this photograph, her life and all of our lives changed with some of the most brutal chemotherapy and radiation all at the same time that anybody could possibly endure. And of course that time came that she couldn't do it any longer. And so at 28 years old, she died after a long 14-year heroic battle against cancer. To keep my sister's memory alive, I had hoped one day, you know, my husband and I would have a family, and if we ever had a little girl, I knew exactly what her name would be. And of course, we named her Susan for my sweet sister. And it just was a wonderful way for me to remember her. Years went by, and we had 4 beautiful children, and my husband was a corporate executive, and I ran the household, and an unexpected turn took place. And that was, my husband found a lump in his neck, and then the unthinkable. It was a diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, an incurable form of cancer. Ken was going through treatment and just about wrapping it up, and our daughter Susan, it's her senior year in college, and she came home, had run to the doctor. She said, "Oh, doctor found something right here at my throat." I said, "Oh no, this can't be happening again. This can't be cancer again." I prayed for better news, but every test kept confirming that the next thing, which would be the surgeon calling with the news that was ultimately that it was cancer. My Susan, just like my sister, her Aunt Sue, would have the exact same diagnosis of Hodgkin's. Who would have thought anything so unbearably cruel could happen to another young woman in my life? You know, I'm always about a distraction. In the hospital, we saw some people not having family backup and support. I'd heard about ginger being a stomach soother, so I thought, well, why not bake off a few ginger snaps? Susan come out in the kitchen for a little bit, something to do before we go to chemo the next day. We packaged them up in little simple bags, and off we went to chemo. Hopefully the treat, and also the gesture of giving these cookies to somebody that's not feeling well, brought a smile, a little bit of cheer. It's a lasting memory, seeing the response to that. So that led to just the little bit of a seed of an idea, and from there, it became a SUSANSNAP.
The cookie's named for both of them.
My Susan and my sister.
It's a crowd pleaser, that way you don't have to pick the...
Susan's doing great, as well as my husband, which we're so grateful for.
Here we are, you know, 6 years later with a booming business. We've got 5 different flavors. We've got the citrus, which has a nice lemon twist. Our cocoa snaps up a little chocolate. Our SUSANSNAPS. Our Aloha has a nice toasted coconut flavor. And our peanutty snaps.
We're never quite sure which comes first, the cookie or the story, because people come in for different reasons.